What's up guys, and welcome back to Adventure Build. Today we're doing a mod on my 3rd gen Tacoma that is going to drastically improve how I charge all of my accessories inside the truck. Stay tuned. Now the Super Ute right here is what actually spoiled me on how I charge everything inside the truck. In the Tacoma, I had a workaround. I'd have a battery bank in there. I would charge the battery bank through the DC power, and then I would basically just plug my computer and batteries, everything I needed to charge into the battery bank. And it worked okay, but it was one more thing that I had to make sure I had charged. Now the Super Ute has a AC power port in the back seat on the center console, and it's just highly convenient to be able to plug things right into that. That way I can do fast charging on my batteries, laptop, drone, everything charges a lot faster and more efficiently. At Overland Expo Mountain West this past year, I met Sean from Guild Outfitters, and he told me about a solution to this problem, which is really next level that I didn't even know existed. It's right here, and what this is a plug and play interior outlet kit for the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th gen Tacoma. And it's a twofer. One, it unlocks the full potential of your inverter, taking it from 100 watt all the way up to 400 watts. And it also adds a 110 outlet, which I'm gonna be putting in the back of my center console. Adding a 110 outlet into the cab of the 3rd gen Tacoma is really a no-brainer. It allows you to charge this, and this, and this, and this, and also this. Now there's really no perfect way to charge these because they take a lot of wattage, and DC just doesn't seem to cut it. Most of the chargers for the Hercules batteries here only come in 110, and I've never found a really great way to charge the laptop outside of plugging it into a battery bank, which again solves the problem, but it's not a good solution. Now inside the cab of these Tacomas is an inverter, and it's housed under the center console, and what it does is it takes the DC power, inverts it to AC power, and sends that power out to an outlet in the bed of the truck. And that's how you can tell if you have an inverter. If you go into the bed of your truck and you have a power outlet for the 3-prong plug, that's your 110 outlet. That means you have an inverter in your center console, so this kit will work in your vehicle. Now Toyota, in their infinitely cautious wisdom, decided to, when they installed this inverter, once the truck is started, you hit this button right here, and when it's in park, it will send 400 watts of power through the inverter to that back outlet in the bed of the truck to give you all the power you would ever need. And then for whatever reason, they decided to, when you put it in drive, it kicks down to 100 watts. So even if you're driving at full throttle, nothing is charging, you'll only ever get 100 watts going to that power outlet in the bed of the truck, or in my case, the bed of the truck and inside the cab of the truck to this outlet on the back of the center console that I'm about to install. Now there's 2 more things about this kit that is really make it a no-brainer, but let's open the box and let me show you what's inside. The Guild Outfitters outlet kit is very inclusive. You get a couple stickers, a QR code card that gives you great install directions. You also get a template so you don't mess up making the hole for the outlet, your drill bit that is also a reamer, and there's also the complete plug and play wiring harness that taps into the inverter and then has an extension out to your outlet. Now this 110 outlet right here is the first thing that I think is outstanding, and that's a personal thing for me, and that's because this is nearly identical to the outlet that's in the Super Ute. So now I have continuity between a couple platforms of my vehicles. So now when I'm driving, I can reach back without having to look. I can feel it, open it up, and plug something into it like I've done quite a few times in the Super Ute. Now it's just one less thing I have to worry about. I know exactly how it operates and how it feels. And this right here is part 2 to that equation. Sean from Guild Outfitters completely sold me on this kit from this right here. One, this wiring harness basically is what tricks the inverter thinking that it's always in park. That way it will always put out 400 watts. That way you get the full potential out of that inverter. And then 2, the kit is completely plug and play. There's no cutting, no splicing, no soldering. All you do is unplug one end of the inverter once you expose it under the center console, and you just plug it in here. Then you have a ground cable, and then you have your extension out to your 110 outlet. It honestly couldn't be any easier. Now it's time to start the install, and step 1 is going to be removing the shifter handle. Now whether it's aftermarket or factory, they're all going to remove the same way. All you're going to do is grab the, in my case, Miso Customs Chrome Delete, or your chrome piece with 2 fingers or 4 fingers, and you're just going to pull straight down so that they're out of the way. Then you're going to unscrew the shifter knob and completely remove it and set it off to the side because it's going to go on very soon. Next step, we're going to lift up the center console lid, and we're going to tear away this whole piece right here. We're going to use our trim tool. We're going to stick it up under between the center console and this front piece here, and we're going to pry up and out of the way. Now you're just going to work everything kind of out of the way, pull the boot off the shifter, and And what I'm gonna try to do is set this whole console, just kind of balance it on the e-brake. This boot on the e-brake is kind of a pain to get off, so if I don't have to take it off, I don't want to. So I'm just gonna leave it right here and see if this is enough out of the way for what we're doing. Next, remove the carpet insert here, put that off to the side, and now there's two 10mm bolts at the bottom of the center console here that have to be removed. Now be sure to use a nice long socket because you're gonna need the distance to get down all the way to the bottom of the console. With the two 10mm bolts out of the way, we're gonna remove the power cable to the USB ports inside the center console here. It's just one plug on this big silver module here. And then there's a piece of electrical tape holding the wire to the console. We're just gonna cut that and replace it later. With all of that disconnected, the center console should just pull right out. Too easy. Next step is gonna pull out the wiring harness, and we're gonna test everything before I cut a hole into the center console just to make sure that everything works the way it should. There's two plugs on this inverter. The right one is the one that we're going to be pulling out and splicing into the Guild Outfitters harness. All you do is depress the release and pull straight out on the male end, and then insert it into the female end on the Guild Outfitters, and then reinsert on the Guild Outfitters harness the male end back into the inverter. And next on the Guild Outfitters wiring harness, you have this black cable with an eyelet at the end, and this is a grounding cable. And just to the left on top of the inverter is where the ground is going to go. All you're gonna do is take your 10mm, loosen this up, put your eyelet right underneath it, reinsert your bolt, and just make sure that's nice and snug. Now we're gonna take the silver end of the harness and plug it right into the outlet. Now let's turn the truck on and test everything out. I turn on the inverter, my phone's plugged into this outlet, go ahead and plug it into the kit. It's charging, everything works great. Now that we know it works great, time to cut a hole in the center console. I was just checking out this center console here to try to figure out exactly where I wanted it, because I kind of want it as high as possible. It's obviously upside down right now. As high as possible, that way when I'm reaching behind to plug things in or unplug things, it's just easier to reach. Plus it's more out of the way if I'm putting things back there, and just overall safer. If you look at the center console, there's like a brake line right here around this whole back piece that is actually replaceable, it looks like. And I was playing with it and it just pops off. All you do is take each of these little clips here, you just kind of bend them away. And if you can work the whole thing loose, and it just kind of comes off. It's actually quite simple. The back panel of the center console, you can see here, there's these two notches, and they actually insert into this rear cup holder here of the back cup holders of the center console. So I want to be just below that. Now this is the Guild Outfitters template that is metal. That way you can kind of route around it with the drill bit. And I want it to sit just snug right up against there. That way I know it's nice and flush. And I'm just going to center it between these two bars, and it's going to be in a great spot on the back of the center console. To get this placed exactly where I wanted it, I drew a line between the bottoms here to get it nice and flush, and then I found the center between these two posts in the center of the Guild Outfitters template, which is really cool because it's actually a bottle opener as well, so this will be staying in the truck forever. Now I'm just going to use my marks, line it up exactly where I want it. I'm going to take some blue tape here and just tape it down nice and solid. This drill bit isn't just a bit, it's actually a reamer. You can see the top part of it. Near the end here is the drill bit, and then this middle part here you can use to ream the plastic out. And I'm just going to load this into the drill and then use the template and cut it out very carefully. I gotta admit, this steel template is awesome. I mean, even that drill bit barely chunked it up. This is a really high quality thing that I didn't even know existed. Metal templates, that's genius. And the hole it made it's a little rough just using that large drill bit. Something that you could definitely leave just because the whole outlet is gonna cover it. However, I'll know it's like this, so I'm gonna clean this up just a little bit. But yeah, this is really cool. I got it fitted with the file. I didn't want to go back to the drill bit because I didn't want to accidentally go too far too quick. So I just kind of snuck up on it with the file, and it fits perfect. It clicked in, it's really solid. This thing is very high quality. Now, instead of reassembling this to the center console and having to sneak my hand up and blindly plug this in, I'm actually going to plug it in with this off and then reattach this to the back of the center console because it attaches super easy. Back in the truck, I'm going to take the gray plug from the harness and plug it right into the back of the outlet. Make sure that connection is nice and firm. Next, reinsert the back panel onto the console. All you're gonna do is notch the top, make sure it's nice and flush, and then just press down, make sure the cable's out of the way. Ensure everything's seated properly, and now the center console can sit back in. Now I'm gonna use the plastic tie that came with the cable to just kind of organize it better. I'm gonna pull it nice and tight and then wind it up. That way it doesn't kind of get jumbled under here and kind of falls out. So I want it to be nice and tight up against the inverter. That way it's out of the way. And we're literally gonna do the exact same process in reverse as we're moving. So now I'm gonna push this center console down into place while managing the cable. Now we take our two 10mm bolts here and insert them back into the center console and use our socket, get that nice and snug down, and reinsert a little carpet piece here. I got the Guild Outfitters cable tied up and managed and tucked down underneath the console here. I put the electrical tape back on the cable here for the USB outlets and then re-plugged in the USB outlets to the silver block here. So all the connections to the center console are made, and now we just got to put this part of the center console back in its place. Now the best way to get this in place is to slowly bring the whole console down, indexing the post for the shifter through the boot here, and just kind of make sure you don't poke a hole in the boot. Find the hole to the top here and just slowly work it into place, getting it nice and flush. And then once you kind of get it down, you have to put a lot of pressure starting from the cup holders and working your way to the back. And the very last step is installing the shift knob. You're just going to place it on, spin it on. Once you have it to where it's nice and tight, make sure it's straight where you want it, and then pull the boot cover back on and you're all set. I'm going to start the truck and make sure that everything works by keeping 400 watts even in drive. Works great. Now let's see if the back works. Yep, still works. That was the full install and review of the Guild Outfitters Toyota Interior Outlet Upgrade Kit, and it was awesome. And for the price of $100, it cannot be beat. Right now it's on sale for $99.99. However, I also just found out on the website that they have a new kit, and it's for basically for 4Runners and for FJ Cruisers, and it comes with an 18-foot extension, so you can put that outlet all the way in the back of the truck, which is sick. You guys got to be sure to check out Guild Outfitters because they are awesome. All the links are in the description below. Be sure to like, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.